I know. You don't know how you wound up here and you're confused and scared. But come on. Come on. Yeah, this is where we'll be spending our last night here.
So ready to go home.
Yeah, and tomorrow we finally get to see this spine neurosurgeon. And we also get to fly home and see the girls.
And so it's just like, what in the world just happened? I mean, it was just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. It was just pure disappointment.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Grounds Family Farm. Have you ever tried to make plans and just everything seems to fall apart? Well, that's what happened to us. We had this grand plan for when we got back to give y'all this cool video, let y'all see how the animals were and everything on the farm before we tell you about the trip. But before we even make it home, I get a call from work calling me into work the next morning, so I had to go in. And when I walked out to go to work, there was the first disaster already in play. So we're fixing to show you a short clip of that, and then we're going to get into the trip, tell you what disasters that happened there, and kind of let you know what all happened with our last appointment.
Good morning, guys, and welcome back. We made it back home, obviously, but in true farm fashion, you know, something always happens. And Kevin was leaving for work this morning because he's already gone back. I haven't gone back yet, but we have an animal out of place. Super fun, right? Let's go see who's out this morning because it was a little surprising and I hope it doesn't keep happening. Yeah, emu. One of our blonde emus is out. Thankfully, she probably won't be too hard to get back in, but how and why is my question. Like, why? Come on. Come on, baby girl. Come here, girlfriend. Come on. Hey, sis. Hey, are you on the wrong side of the fence? Are we on the wrong side of the fence? Here, come on. Okay, well, let's see. Come on. Let me grab some feed and then maybe I can lure you in there while they're eating. Like I said, Kevin's gone to work. The girls are not up yet. They were up a little later last night. We're trying to get their sleep patterns kind of back to normal since we're back home. But I may have to get them up. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it is super windy this morning too. Oh, there's Miss Fat Thing. Still hanging in there, big and pregnant. Yeah, some of the others are still at the other end of the pen. See if I can't lure her down here. Here. Yeah, thankfully they're friendly, but hey, come here. Look. Look, here. Here, sis. Looky here. Look. Yeah. I might just have to push you down the fence, but hey, look. Hey, right here. Yeah, come on. Come on. And maybe I can't do this on my own. But come on. Hey. Come on, bud. Come on. Yeah. Let's go down here. Come on. And clean out their water today too. Now that we're back. No, we're not going out this way. Hey, look. I don't want to run you. Guess I need to open. I'm gonna open this gate down here. See if I do run her. Maybe she'll go straight in because the others aren't gonna try to escape with feed down there. So. If I regret this decision, then I guess y'all will see about it. little early for y'all to normally be eating, but come on. Head out of the fence. Come on. Let's go this way. Come on. Come on, sister. Come on, sister. Yeah, come on, sister. Come on, sister. No, come on, sister. Just keep on going down the fence. Come on. Come on. Come on, sister. It's like chasing a big bird down a fence. Come on. Yep, you're almost to the end. Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on, baby. This way. I know. You don't know how you wound up here and you're confused and scared. But come on. Come on. Come on. You're going to get all cut up on your neck the way you keep putting it through that. Okay. You're almost there. There we go. There we go. And she takes off. Gracious me. Not exactly how I figured I'd start my morning this morning.
So that's the disaster we came home to. We had a few other minor things, but those are not near as bad as the disaster we dealt with in Baltimore after our last update. Y'all got to see a little bit. Kimberly started feeling a little bit better, so we actually got to get out and mill around a little bit. And then we discovered that once we had to switch hotels, that they didn't charge for parking. And since we were kind of on a tight race for things and Uber was not as quick in that area, I started weighing things out, and it was actually cheaper for us to just get an Uber ride to go rent a car that we could return at the airport, and then we could just kind of go in as we please. And it actually worked out really well doing it that way.
All right, so we are at the final hotel for this day.
Yes.
Third one. Last one was great except for the bed. The bed was very, very hard. The rest of the room was great. The rest of the service was great. Everything.
Yeah.
But we left there this morning and decided to go ahead and head on over to this one because they had said that they could get us in early, hopefully. And we were just, praying and hoping we weren't going to have to sit in the lobby for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let me show you our third place. It's a little smaller than our other one because it is literally for one night. But
About the same size as the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still a nice size room.
Yeah.
It really is. And yeah, this is where we'll be spending our last night here.
So ready to go home.
Yeah, and tomorrow we finally get to see this spine neurosurgeon. And we also get to fly home and see the girls. So,
yep, and
I'm ready.
think that we're supposed to, if all of our flights are on time, we should be there like at 7:30 or something is when we get to Little Rock. And then we'll have an hour drive home, or a little over.
Yeah, but that's good. I'm really, really hoping that everything's on time and everything works out on this leg because
Definitely.
last time,
Which the delays won't be so pressured this time as long as we can make our connecting flights. But worst case, if we get to Dallas and they mess up our flights where we can't get home, I will drive home from Dallas.
Yeah.
I'll rent a car and I'll drive.
But yeah, hopefully we don't have to do that, but at least we are on the final stretch of things and getting ready to go home. Found a Bass Pro. Today's just kind of been a day to wander around a little bit, so we're just gonna go look and see what we can find.
We left off with that the other doctor had wanted her to get this other special CT scan or whatever, and we weren't sure if we was going to be able to get in. She called all day Friday, didn't get a return call. Monday morning, they call her back, and they're like, we don't even show that we ever had an appointment open for those times, and the closest we have is next week at this point. So we're just like, okay, great. So we go on about our day as it is. Get up the next morning, have everything packed away because we know we got to catch a flight, load it up in the car before we go to the first doctor's appointment. And while we're getting that stuff done, on our way to the other doctor, or we might have been sitting in the parking lot, we get a phone call from the scheduling person for the other day. He's like, hey, they just called us back, the person who does the CT scan from cardiology. They can get you in. They put you down for 11:30, which our flight left at 2. We were like 30 to 40 minutes from the airport, and they said this could take like an hour. And not knowing how quick that is, I'm like, this is going to be pushing it tight, but that's okay. But then she's like, I talked to them. They said, let them know when you get there. They put a note in there to get you back ASAP. So we're like, okay, that is great. So she says, as soon as you're done with the other appointment, come right over to the hospital, and they're going to try to get you in as quick as possible so that we don't end up missing our flight. Because we looked at flights to try to change it, and there was only one other flight later, and it was kind of tight. So if anything would have happened, we might not have made it home, and that just was not a good thing to do.
No.
Because we were ready to be here, and the girls were ready for us to be home too.
Absolutely.
But we go to that other appointment. We get there. They had started mandatory masking again because the flu is so bad up there. So got that, which it was funny because they give them to us and they say it's mandatory and everything. Then we go in, a lot of the people don't have them on, and I'm like, is this mandatory or not? And they're like, oh yeah, they just started today and they forgot. I was like, okay. I was like, no big deal. You're not really bothering us because I mean, they seemed healthy to us. But so we get back to our appointment, and a gentleman comes in, which we'd seen the picture of the actual doctor online, and this guy that comes in is not him.
No.
And I'm like, don't tell me that they pushed off somebody else. Well, he comes in, introduces himself, says that he works with the other doctor. He gets a lot of the information up front, goes and talks to him, then he'll come in and talk to us as well. I guess it's his rookie, for lack of a better term. So he gets there, asks a lot of questions. I'll just kind of let you go over that part because that was more your wheelhouse.
Yeah, he was very, very kind. Asked if he could record the conversation. That way he could enter it in his notes later because they have a new system for that. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'd rather them not forget something. So, I mean, he went back to the very beginning. I had to tell him everything, but he'd actually done his homework.
Correct.
So he asked a lot of questions, leading questions into items of the history because, like I said, he'd actually researched about us a little bit, which made me feel good. It made me feel really good. Then he was asking about how the myelogram had gone and told him, you know, they did not find any leaks, no leaks at all. But, you know, I'm operating under the assumption that, you know, we're not really here to discuss that anyway. So, you know, I just kind of went past that and was like, hey, so here's what's going on with my neck. You know, it's unstable. It's ever since surgery, you know, in 2024, which I said last year, which, I mean, this appointment was in 2026. So he kind of overlooked that. And he's like, hey, it's 2026. I was like, oh, yeah. But so we go through that and he's like, okay, well, that's, you know, that's wild. That's crazy. You know, have you heard of like connective tissue disorders? And I was like, yes, I have. And I've actually looked at like grading criteria for something called Ehlers-Danlos, which is a connective tissue disorder. I was like, I don't fit the bill for that. I mean, I don't have the markers for that based, I mean, I'm staunchly out of that criteria. And he was like, okay, well, cool. You know, that's good to know. And he said, I'm going to put that down. I explained how physical therapy was not helpful for me, how it actually, you know, made my symptoms worse, didn't make it any better, you know, all these things. And I actually had taken notes at his suggestion because I do forget a lot of things, especially when I go in, I'm like a deer in the headlights sometimes. Because
that's what happens. We'll get there and I'll be like, you had all these questions. And so then I was like, as soon as you think of them, I was like, just write them in your notes. Because I was like, I'm not going to remember all of this. And I was like, you for sure aren't. So luckily, whenever we got done, because he asked all these questions, and then he's like, is there anything else? And then she's like, I don't think so. I was like, check your notes. And she did what she'd already covered it all. So that worked out that time. But
but it, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pull up your imaging and all that. And he asked what all imaging I had done to make sure he hadn't missed anything. He's like, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and I'm going to talk to the doctor, and we're going to come back in together and talk to you. It's like, okay.
And he's actually the one that mentioned something about instability too.
Yes.
And
yeah,
the different
I didn't say
things.
the word first.
Yeah, because some of them like immediately try to run when you mention that. And
Yeah.
so we made sure, or she did make sure she didn't bring up anything about that. And he's actually the one that suggested something about that.
Yes.
And like I said, her MRI that we had to go get done in Oklahoma, it actually, whenever you put all that stuff in AI and everything, it points to a lot of markers that, like, yeah, the instability is pretty likely with all those markers. I mean, it's still no guarantee, and it's just trusting AI, but with all because the abnormalities seem kind of minor the way they list them, but whenever you put an AI in, it takes all of those into account because there were several different markers that showed abnormal.
Yes.
And then that's when it pointed to that. So.
But yeah, so I was very careful. I danced around it a lot. I was very symptom and like evidence-based in my description of everything. That way it was like, okay, here's what all is going on. That way he could draw his own conclusions. And like I said, I wasn't trying to act like I'm self-diagnosing because, I mean, I'm there for them to do that.
But he did say, as long as you've been dealing with that, he goes, if you said you hadn't Googled it, he goes, I would be shocked and I'd be a little more concerned than, because I told him, I was like, you can Google stuff to death and AI. And I was like, and as long as we've been doing, we have done it all. So I was like, it's like Dr. Google over here. And then he kind of laughed about that, but he's like, yeah, as long as you've been doing this and all this stuff, he goes, if you hadn't, he goes, I'd be more concerned about that. He goes, everybody does it. And I was like, well, good, because we definitely have.
Yeah, so we were highly impressed with him when he came in. And I mean, he like I said, he took his time with us. We actually talked about stuff with him for over 30 minutes about, like I said, the history and all of the issues I was having. He did some strength tests, which my strength test is never bad left to right. It's just more sensation. And I actually have the notes where he like recorded that about, my description, how much less sensation I have on my right versus my left, how I drop things on my right. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go pull these up, go grab the doctor, we'll talk, and then we're both going to come in. And we're like, okay, awesome.
So at this point, I'm giving Kimberly an internal high five, like, hey, we may be onto something here.
Yeah.
And then it all came crashing down.
Yeah, so they were gone for probably 15 minutes.
Yes.
And then they both come in. And the doctor comes in leading, and he's like, hey, I'm Dr.
Shook
So-and-so.
hands, he was cordial and everything.
Yes. And I don't guess he even sat down, did he? He stood up the entire time.
Yes.
He was probably in the room for a total of about 3 minutes.
Yes.
If that. Said basically that MRI really didn't look that bad. That yes, there was some issue there. There was some movement, but it's still really not out of the normal range.
But he also had talked about the MRI, because the whole reason we had to go to Oklahoma is because nobody in Arkansas did this MRI, and that's specifically what the other surgeon wanted, because they were checking, I guess, that plus other stuff too, like the fluid and stuff, so the MRI was better for that. So we go through all this effort to go out there, and then he pretty much is like, the MRI is junk because they're not known well enough for us to know what those parameters are actually supposed to be, and so you need an X-ray, a flexion extension X-ray.
So without questioning him, because I can already kind of see where this is going, I'm just like, an X-ray, and I'm trying to, figure out the differentiation between, this specialized MRI that, this other doctor who's clearly a Chiari specialist and who's seen many, many of these cases, why he would order that versus this other if this X-ray is supposedly so much better. And he really didn't give any great answers on that. He just said that's the only way he's going to diagnose. He said, but if the number of millimeters of movement is not any greater than what's on here, then he said it's likely that we're not going to do anything, because he said people with connective tissue disorders and things like that, they live with higher degrees of movement than that, and they just have to learn how to cope, and that may be what you have to do. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, well, the reason they asked me to consult on your case was because they were thinking that you had a leak. And I was like, yeah, and they just ruled that out. I was very confused.
You're very.
And he was like, well, he said, what happens is that whenever you go in and you have the myelogram and everything, people find a leak and they try to patch it, and if the patch doesn't work, I'm the one that goes in and surgically fixes it. And I'm just going,
Yeah, this is where it's
okay.
kind of like, what in the world just happened here? Because we were under the assumption and belief that the whole reason we were there is for if it was an instability issue, because he's a spine surgeon, and that was one of the things. And so whenever he said that, I'm just like, okay, we thought this was like the major appointment because the MRI showed all that, and then we get here and then he doesn't even really care about that point. He was just like that. So I'm just like, why in the world, if that's all they wanted to, why didn't they say, hey, you just need to cancel that appointment with him because there's no leak? But instead they just, nothing was said.
Well, my suspicion about it is that whenever I talked to the PA initially for the original neurosurgeon, I told her my concerns about the instability, and she said, oh, well, we can get you an appointment to see this other doctor, and I'm pretty sure he's going to want to send you to this one, which is this doctor. And I'm assuming that she was operating under the assumption that that was what he was going to see me for. But then he got to talking to the other doctor, the interventional radiologist.
Correct.
And
things changed.
Things completely changed. But we were over here completely out of that discussion,
we were in the
so
dark
we
on that
had
one.
no idea. So, I mean, I just feel kind of ignorant going in there talking all about the instability when that's not even what he's wanting to see me for.
Yeah, because like I said, I know initially that's what it was, because I mean, it's no I mean, nothing to say about the first ones, because like I said, they've been great the whole time. But I think what happened is that since they were wanting to rule everything else out first, and then it was whenever you tried to schedule the one with the interventional radiologist, he's like, no, make sure you do this one first before the other guy sees you. And we didn't really get why at first, but now it makes sense. And I just put that together now. Like, I didn't think about it before now.
I know.
That the whole reason is because he had already got the other guy like, hey, this is if I can't fix it with a patch, then you can go in. But it didn't make sense at first, because I was like, if there's instability, what does it matter if there's a leak or not? I mean, I get you want to fix that too. And so it didn't really, I didn't put two and two together until we realized he wasn't there for the same reason we thought he was, or what he was supposed to be initially.
Or what we thought we were there for. I mean, that's what's baffling, because, I mean, in our heads, we were talking the whole weekend about, okay, well, now that he's ruled out the leak, then it's on to the instability. I mean, we even told you guys that. Because, I mean, that's literally what we thought. And then we thought that he was just putting that off so that he could fix root causes before he did, you know, anything drastic. And no, he was still for that root cause that wasn't actually in play.
Yeah, and I also thought too, I was like, well, if they do a patch and it fails, and if they do end up having to go, maybe they were thinking, well, if we're going to go and do surgery, we just do all the surgery at once rather than have to do a bunch. And so it's just like, what in the world just happened? I mean, it was just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. It was just pure disappointment. Yeah. Because whenever we got done with that, I was like, we just wasted these days staying here. Yeah. Because I'll just say this. Whenever he came in, the first one was great. The actual surgeon, he was very condescending, and just his arrogance and the way he talked. I mean, like I said, I don't know that he necessarily said anything that was it, but it's just the way he talked to us, like pretty much like I know all and y'all are just ignorant. Yeah. But I don't know. I wasn't a fan of him anyhow, so I'm kind of glad we're done with that aspect, except for the fact that he wants this other x-ray done. Yeah. So we get hit with all this news, and it's just like, what in the world? And so then I'm like, I'm looking at the time too. I'm like, okay, we're pressing for a flight. We need to get this other CT scan done. And we just wasted our time sitting in here because he did absolutely not. I mean, if they would have told us, hey, you were just coming into us in case the patch couldn't fix it, then I'd be like, okay, see ya. Peace out. But we didn't find that out till right at like a minute before we left. And so I'm just like, goodness. Yeah, so we get to the car and we're just both really, really quiet. And then I was like, so yeah, we just have to take a minute to let it sink in. And he was like, I don't really know. Because I mean, it's like,
I was like, so that's not at all what we were going for.
No.
And he was like, apparently not. That is so crazy. I mean, we're dumbfounded.
I mean,
we're just literally like, what in the world did we wait all these days for? I mean, seriously, we could have gone home to the girls Friday afternoon or evening. I mean,
well, we initially had the flight scheduled for Saturday morning.
And then they added this appointment, so it's like, okay, well, let's just extend because it's cheaper than
because
flying.
the CT scan could have been done back here.
Yeah.
I know that they were saying it was real specialized and that they would have done the MRI if we left, but the CT was better. But my thing is, I looked it up, and we actually have a hospital here that can do the 320 slice or whatever, 320 CT scans. And so I was like, yeah, we can get it done because they were going to put in orders. But they get us in, so after initial shock, we rush over to the other hospital because I'm like, we're checking on time. Get there, go to check in. They're like, are you sure you have an appointment here? Because we don't even have you down.
And I was like, okay, look at my phone. I had literally, when we walked in the facility, I actually got the email to check in. So I was doing that while we're walking down the hallway and riding up in the elevator to the floor that we need to be on. And then they're like, we don't even see it. And I can't do the check-in on the computer, the kiosk.
They tell us to go do the kiosk. We go do that. It's like there's a problem, go see the receptionist. So we tell her, and they're like, well, just go have a seat. Since you're not till 11:30, it might not show up. And I was like, they told us to check in immediately because they were going to get us back quick. Because I was like, we got to go catch a flight.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem too concerned about that. They were like, well, there's nothing we can do until it's in there. And I'm like, well, can y'all call somebody? So she tries to call, but it's always an answer machine first that you get. And so I was like, don't leave a message because maybe they'll figure it out. And then
I was going into my chart, and I started clicking on different parts of that appointment, and I finally found like a way to do it backwards, how to get into the e-check-in a little bit backwards to where I could say that I was there, and then it asked me all of the questions that the kiosk would. So normally you get there and it pops up and I'm here, but then also, I mean, there's something on the computer. But since I guess that part wasn't there, I was like, okay, well, I'll just go in this way and do it. And I told the lady, I was like, okay, that's done. And then she's like, okay, probably within 10 minutes, we got called over to registration. And then she finishes up the process and is like, okay, go to this waiting room. And it's like, okay, cool, we're moving. And then sat there for maybe 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then I got called back. And they were like, well, you can come back too, but she's probably going to get called back really quick. And he was like, it's fine. I'm like, it's just a quick test. It's not a big deal.
Because initially they told us it'd take about an hour, but then it probably wasn't 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, because I got back there and she had to start an IV, which I was just hoping and praying that I'd had enough to drink because I had not been, like, before I have IVs, I am really, really careful about drinking tons of water because when I was hospitalized for the brain surgery, I had trouble with my veins, and I think I hadn't been drinking enough water. Well, I knew I'd had several caffeinated drinks the day before, and I was like, cool, hopefully my veins are there. Well, she gets it first stick, thank goodness, because it is a contrast CT.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, great, more contrast. I'm going to glow at this point. And she gets it started, and she's like, okay, well, they'll come and get you. And it's probably 10 minutes before they could come and get me. But then I had to put on a gown, even over my clothes, because I didn't have to change or anything. And then I had to put a hairnet on, but it was going through like a surgical area. And I went back to the CT machine, and I had to lay down, and he was like, okay, we're going to put some contrast through, enough to, just kind of time it, and then we're going to do the real thing. He's like, and it'll feel like a flood of warmth over you, and he said, and then you have to hold your breath, and then it's done. Literally, the test was done in 5 minutes. So I don't know where the hour came from, unless they thought that they were really going to have to do a lot to prep. But
unless it's just because...
And it may just be a time slot.
And it may be a time slot, or it may have been the fact that it was the scheduling people. Because, like I said, the one people didn't even know they had an appointment
That's
open.
True. But yeah, the longest part afterwards was honestly sitting there just waiting on the nurse to get free to come take the IV out.
But it still wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't.
Because we were actually headed to the airport well before, maybe an hour before your appointment was actually supposed to have been. So
yeah,
we were in and out of there pretty quick, and we were happy about that. Because like I said, my biggest thing was trying to make sure we didn't miss our flight.
So the CT, the reason it was in cardiology, because I'm sure that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but what it is they're imaging the brain to see if any of the vessels show signs of being under stress or under high pressure, because I guess that tells them if high pressure is your normal, and then like the normal high that I was reading was actually a low. Kind of crazy, but I mean, it makes sense that they already ruled out the low, so they're ruling out the really high now.
Yeah.
And just seeing if this is my normal, and if it's my normal, then I think that we're fine. Because they say that the pressure I'm at is really not horrible. It's just, they just want to make sure it's not normally another crazy number.
Yeah.
But so we got all that done, and then we rushed to the airport. And
stop at a gas station, fill up the rental car, drop it off, get to the airport, get through security, stop for some lunch, and then I start checking the bill for the rental car, because they're like, just leave the keys in it, we'll email you a bill. And they billed me for fuel, and I'm like, it was like $16. I was like, I just filled up. So then I have to call customer service, get that straightened out. They want to know the address and the place the gas station was, the amount it was, which the car only held $3. I mean, it was less than a gallon is what it held.
Yeah.
Because we topped it off the night before. I was like, that way, if we find one close, we can just top it off and go. And they got it taken off our bill and all that well. And then we got to fly home. And like I said, we land, get to our car and start heading home. And boom, I get a text from work. Hey, can you work in the morning? I was like, yep, I can do it.
Yeah.
Then life goes on. So now we're just having to wait on the results from that CT scan and get her flexion extension x-ray and see what they're going to do from there. Maybe when they get those results, something will be different that they can try to fix something in. But we are back in limbo for a few days. Hopefully we get that soon and can share that with you and figure out what the next step is, because right now we don't know.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, is just the not knowing. Again, I mean, getting back to that point, I mean, we've ruled out, basically, I feel like we basically ruled out two things now, though. I feel like we've ruled out, obviously there's not a leak. Obviously my pressure, I mean, it's not too low. So that part at least is ruled out. And based on, that interaction with him, I don't have a lot of faith that the flexion extension x-ray is going to show anything. So probably have ruled out having something done about the instability. So yeah, I'm guessing I'm probably going to be calling the other neurosurgeon in the next week and being like, okay, where do we go from here? I mean, what's y'all's plan, since everything was hinging upon these other appointments? Now I've had those other appointments. It's not what we expected. So
so since we don't really know where they stand on things, since it wasn't what they thought it might have been. Yeah. But I will give one thing to the other surgeon, the spine surgeon. I mean, I get not wanting to operate, because, I mean, that's a major thing to do if it's not going to fix anything. But I just, like I said, it's just odd that how the MRI showed one thing and then he says something else. But like I said, it is what it is, and it's just something we have to deal with. But I'm just glad that it doesn't look like we're going to have to deal with him anymore. Yeah. Unless something pops up on the x-ray, which, like I said, if the MRI is supposed to be a better thing for imaging, I don't see how an x-ray will show anything worse than that. But who knows? Yeah. I mean, crazier things have happened, I guess. But so I guess we're back to square one of not having a clue what's going on. Yeah. So once we get those results, we'll let you know how that's going, and we will also let you know what's going on with the other doctor when we hear back from him. Like I said, hopefully he has a solution, because like I said, the only other thing was if they ruled everything out, they did talk about they may have to go in and redo her initial brain surgery and use a metal plate instead of a patch. Not really looking forward to that being the thing, but if that's what will fix it, then it is. But my only fear is you go through all that and then still the same thing all over again. But something's got to give. Somebody out there has to have a solution. We just haven't been able to figure it out, and I guess nobody else has either, or nobody else has. But I guess that's going to be it for today, and we'll catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye. Bye, guys.